Hey everybody, John Harris here, Managing Partner with Fortune Management. I'm just coming back from a 2-day continuing education event in Raleigh with 3D Dentist and Dr. Aaron Elliott. Fantastic 2 days, incredible course, great information. It was Sleep 1 implementation. For those that are curious, Dr. Elliott really went into the detail and science behind sleep apnea and the operational workflow of how to begin implementing sleep apnea into your practice. I've also attended the digital workflow and SciCat Air course taught by T-Bone and Dr. Sully Sullivan. And I want to take a few minutes and talk about why I'm so interested and passionate about sleep apnea, because it's something that I talk to a lot of my clients about, many of whom are currently treating sleep apnea in their practices fairly aggressively. Some are very interested and others are a little on the fence. So I want to take a few minutes and just kind of explain where I come from as far as sleep is concerned. As someone who suffers from obstructive sleep apnea, it wasn't my dentist, it wasn't my primary care physician, it wasn't my chiropractor, it was not a medical professional that first created the awareness for me. It was my bodybuilding coach, because I wasn't progressing physically the way that we thought I should have been. And he had just asked me a simple question: how am I sleeping? And I said, well, I don't really sleep at all. And it didn't occur to me at that time that, I travel a lot with my job. I travel all across the Southeast. I cover 5 or 6 states. And I oftentimes would pull over into a hotel parking lot, gas station parking lot, take a nap. At consults, if I didn't have a coaching call during lunch, then I would go out to my truck during lunch and I would take a nap in the parking lot. I was drinking, 3-4 cups of coffee in the morning just to get going. I would always turn to coffee or some kind of a sugar-free energy drink in the afternoon, constantly taking pre-workout just to, make it through my training sessions in the evening. And it never really occurred to me that sleep might be a factor in this equation. And so he recommended that I have a sleep study, completed. And so I went through the process and I took a test home and I did the at-home sleep test and got the results, and it was significant. I was diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, and that really kind of opened my eyes a little bit and created a sense of awareness in me that, hey, this is something that's pretty important. And from there, I started doing a little research. I got on YouTube, I went to Google, I started attending some courses, and really started to learn what all the symptoms and things are that people suffer from that are related to sleep deprivation. And for men, one big one is just hormonal imbalances. It decreases testosterone production, which obviously, affects a lot of other, or has a lot of other, implications as far as your overall health is concerned. It's related to anxiety. It's related to stress. It's related to obesity and heart disease and heart attacks or heart failure and just gaining weight in general. I actually started testing my fasted blood glucose in the mornings. And one of the things that I found was that my father suffers from diabetes, so I'm genetically predispositioned to it. And I discovered that where my fasted blood glucose levels were, I was pre-diabetic. And so I went through insurance. None of this took place through my dentist, just to clarify. I went straight to my physician. I got the sleep study conducted, got all that stuff completed, filed insurance. I got the CPAP, and I went on a CPAP, and I do not like the CPAP at all. I know it's great. I sleep better with it, and I sleep with it 90% of the time, but it's an inconvenience. And one of the things that you guys know, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but your patients want affordability and convenience. It's the top two things that they want. So anything that you can do that's more convenient for them is going to be a win. So I don't like carrying a CPAP with me everywhere I go and on planes and when I travel and all that kind of stuff and having to load it and unload it, etc. So oral appliance is just a better fit for me for the most part. If I'm home, CPAP is great, but if I'm on the road, it's not as feasible. And so I actually got the chance to experience what it's like having a good night's sleep. And I don't know when the last time, I actually slept that well was. But the very first thing I noticed was I didn't sleep as long. And it was because I talked to some friends of mine that also use a CPAP. And what I discovered is because your body's used to running on an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep every night, real true quality sleep every night, and you start getting more than that, it doesn't really need it. And so I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then over a period of time, I started sleeping through the night. And I'm telling you what, it's absolutely transformational, the impact that it makes on just quality of life in general. It wasn't until a few weeks after that, a month or so, 2 months after that, I really started noticing the physical changes in my body from having better quality sleep. I started noticing more improvement in my training, and I was getting stronger, and I was, building muscle, and I wasn't retaining fat, and it was easier for me to burn fat. I had more energy throughout the day. I wasn't getting sleepy mid-afternoon. I started not even consuming caffeine at all during the day. Completely dropped pre-workout out of my regimen, so I don't even take pre-workout now. And I go in and train, and I have a ton of energy, and I feel great. My metabolism's a lot faster. My fasted blood glucose is probably one of the most important variables in this equation, is down like in the 80s now. And so with just that, factor alone, that would no longer qualify me for being pre-diabetic. And so I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all the details, but I can tell you what, it makes an absolute extraordinary impact. At least it has for me. And that's one of the things that has led me to really educate myself and make it a priority for myself and my clients. And I would recommend that any dentist out there do the same thing in their practices. Approximately 20% of the population, adult population, suffers from OSA. And I can guarantee you, if they do, they probably don't know it. They probably, just like me, they think it's normal to be tired in the afternoon. They think it's normal to toss and turn at night. They think it's, normal to drink 4, 5, 6 cups of coffee a day. They think that stuff's normal. Everybody suffers from it, so they don't talk about it. They don't research it. They don't go get information. They don't know what they don't know, and therefore they don't know the question to ask. So we rely, as a patient, we rely on our healthcare providers and people that know more about it to educate and inform us and create that sense of awareness. And so I would highly, highly encourage and recommend that every dentist out there really look into adopting and implementing sleep apnea into your practice with Dentsply Sirona and SciCat Air and CEREC Prime Scan or Omnicam and CBCT and digital workflow. I mean, you've got some extraordinary resources at your disposal to conveniently, easily, and seamlessly implement sleep into your practice. You've got medical billing to help the patients with the financial side, because affordability is the other thing that they want. And so you've got more than enough resources out there to implement a very efficient and effective program, not to mention the incentive of the financial impact that it's going to make in your practice. If you took, your active patient base of, let's say, 2,000 patients, and you took 20% of that number, that's 400 patients. And if your treatment acceptance is 50%, that's at least 200 that are going to accept and move forward initially. And then you can do reactivation and those kinds of things to get the ones that don't. But take that and multiply that times the average reimbursement in the country for sleep for an oral appliance, somewhere in the ballpark of $2,500. Now, I'm not good at math, but it's a significant amount of money, a significant amount of revenue that you could generate in your practice for very, very little chair time. So I can't even begin to express how important it is to help your patients meet that need, and how significant the impact on your overall practice growth and profitability is by implementing a solid sleep program. So if you've got any questions, the folks over at 3D Dentist, Tarun, Dr. Aaron Elliott, Sully, they're fantastic folks over there. They've got an amazing program, incredible resources. Every time I've been into one of those courses, it's been a packed house. It's been a sold out course. I think he's even looking at doing them, if he's not already doing them, on the West Coast now to help make it geographically feasible for folks across the country. So with as easy it is to get to those places, man, there's just no reason not to look into and at least make the effort to see if it's something that you're interested in getting into. And if it's something that you're not interested in getting into, just my personal opinion, I would see it as an obligation as far as your patients are concerned, because nobody else is talking about it. Their physicians aren't bringing it to their attention. Their physicians are more likely to just prescribe some medication to address the symptoms and not get to the source of the problem. Nothing against physicians, but that's just been my experience. And so there it is. That's why I'm so passionate about sleep dentistry. I think it's an extraordinary opportunity for the dentists across the country. I think it's an extraordinary need that needs to be met in your patient base. Anyway, if you have questions, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. Otherwise, I would go to the 3D Dentist website, look up some of the courses that are coming up, talk to your local Patterson rep, Shine rep about CBCT, and start taking the steps to get that stuff in place and start your sleep program. Until next time, y'all have a great day.